Hey everybody, welcome to another Life Group video. My name is Anthony, Connections Director, and with me we have...
My name's Ryan. I'm the experienced pastor.
Here we go. This week we are looking at Matthew 19, verse number 5. But before we jump in, let's start with the connection. Describe a friendship that has been good to you.
I've got a great friend. His name's Chris. He lives on the other side of the country, but I think the big thing that's really cool for a long distance friendship, if you will, is just a general understanding of each other, regular communication. Sometimes just for fun, sometimes to do stuff. We do a lot of conferences and things like that together, so we see each other 3-4 times a year to do stuff together. But I know the friendship between he and I often just comes from open communication with each other and just checking in and, what did you think about the new Avengers movie? I'm sure that'll be coming next week, and we'll probably talk for a little while about it. And time, communication. Yeah,
communication is a big part of any good friendship. And good friendships also are ones where you don't feel the pressure to be on or to be something for them, where you just get to be yourself. Hit pause on the video and discuss as a group. Talk about some of your best friendships. You can talk about who it is, or you can just talk about what it is that makes them so great. Coming up next, we're going to focus on the passage. So real quick, I'm going to read Matthew 19, verse 5. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So question number 1, Ryan, let's see if you can answer this. Who is to leave their family behind?
The husband.
Ding, 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 ding. You got it. Hey, guys, go ahead and answer questions number 2 and number 3 together. Hit pause. Next section, admit where you are. Question number 4 says, are relationships important to you? I am a highly relational person, so I'm going to say yes. But my yes would be different than my wife's yes. My wife's yes would be, yes, I care very much for individual specific relationships. And I'm like, I want to swim on the surface with everybody, which at times can feel, I could feel guilt in that like, man, I don't go in depth enough with people. I know enough about their surface and what's going on immediately, and I want to say, hey, how's your brother doing and stuff. But then at the end of the day, I might feel disingenuous because I don't take that further step in a relationship. But that's just kind of a little bit how I'm wired. What about you, Ryan?
For me, I'm all about deeper relationships. I'm not a social butterfly. So it'll take me a little while to get comfortable talking to people. But for me, making sure I'm connected with the people I'm connected with is really important.
And neither position's wrong. It's just good to be aware of what your favored strength is. And especially when it comes to a marriage relationship, understanding that and being able to love as the other person needs love, not just how you know to love. Next question says, what do you do to foster good relationships, either in a marriage or outside a marriage situation? That'd be like a friendship, not another marriage or anything. Man, what do I do to foster? I try to check in with people. What's kind of a cheat for me is my phone automatically deletes messages after 30 days. So if I think of a friend and I open up that text thread and there's nothing in there, that means I haven't spoken to them through text in 30 days. So that's like a little helpful reminder for me to like check in and just ask how life's doing and stuff. Which that's not necessarily a good relationship. That's like a managed relationship. What about you?
Communication. I think, like you said, just making sure I'm connecting with people regularly is probably the first step, that's needed.
I need to do better in my marriage and just making like an intentional date night a week or whatever, just like us time, because then that'll help foster a better relationship. Take a moment, hit pause on the video, and discuss as a group. What does that look like for you guys?
All right. Under interpret the passage, question 6 said, should the focus be on divorce, as the Pharisees were trying to make it, or on marriage as Jesus did. Man, I know for this week we really just touched just a tiny little bit in Matthew 19, but yeah, as you dig into a lot of the Pharisees' questions, were very much trying to uphold the letter of the law. They were looking for technicalities, really. They were trying to find where are the parameters for divorce and when is it okay. And Jesus often takes things like that and flips it on its head and says, no, this is you should be focusing on the marriage itself and making sure it's set up in the right way, instead of finding the excuse or the reason that it's okay to then divorce and then not be under the judgment of the law, as the Pharisees were trying to find.
Yeah, I find that in life too, like for us as humans, one way to live is knowing every single law that exists in U.S. government and being like, okay, these are all the ones I can't break, so what are the ones that I can break that don't yet exist or something?
Sure.
Versus just having like a, hey, love God, love people. Like if you do those two things, you'll abstain from so many of the other things. So it's not about how can I get divorced that'll be kind of okay with God. How about you just love your spouse, stick with your spouse, and understand this is where you're supposed to be.
Sure.
That's a bit of our humanity. Question number 7, what is the significance of Jesus quoting from Genesis 1:27? So when he says that a man shall leave his wife and the two shall become one flesh, that predates the law, that predates any covenant. That goes all the way back to Genesis when when God looks at Adam and Eve and said that the two will become one flesh. And that's so beautiful because then marriage is more than just a social construct. Yeah. It's more than just something for that day or for today or whatever prop we're going to vote on. It's bigger than that. It's the way that God designed it. So the significance is that Jesus, who's living in now, 30 AD around this time, all this years have passed since the creation of the earth. So by Jesus hearkening back to what God said in Genesis, shows his respect of the Old Testament, his knowledge of the Father, and just like how awesome that he is. Take a moment, hit pause on the video, discuss question 6 more together as a group.
Next section. Take this passage into your life. Question 8. With all of today's influences on family, how should couples hold fast to one another? Man, I think I keep hammering on communication, but I think it's just important to actually communicate with your spouse in the midst of everything. I personally have 4 kids. We're a very busy family. Far too many animals too on top of that, by the way. But there's always stuff to do. Even when I get home, it's usually housework time, and it's everything we got to get all the kids in bed, and then just go to sleep, wake up, do it again in the morning. I think it could be very, very easy to do all of that without, ever really even looking my wife in the eyes on the way through. But somehow finding opportunity to be able to just talk and ask how the day was going, what's going on in life. For us, a big thing is trying to be able to actually have a conversation that doesn't just revolve around the kids' lives, and just seeing what's going on with each other is important. Yeah.
And now question number 9 is basically the same as 8.
Yeah.
But then not just married people. So how do we do that, like generally within the church as a whole?
Understand that people are other people. I think maybe don't be so selfish in trying to accomplish, especially with relationships that aren't a marriage. It's easy to just be selfish in almost all of those relationships, but understand there's a fly.
Gosh.
I understand.
Why? What is this?
And people probably won't even see that there's a fly on the... Maybe they can hear it.
So with that in mind, for those of you who are single, also think about what it looks like for you to hold fast to other relationships that you have with friends or even your parents. Maybe you don't foster that relationship good enough, so you haven't found your own spouse. Talk about it as a group about how maybe you could be there more and communicate more with your family as well. Going into the last section here from God, it says this: the most important relationship for anyone is that with Jesus Christ. What can you do, starting tomorrow or today, to build a healthy relationship with Jesus? We don't want to give away all the answers, so we're going to ask you guys to pause it here. Take 30, 40, 60 seconds, moment of silence, and just pray. focus on God, and really analyze, where are you at? How are you fostering that relationship with Jesus? Most importantly, as compared to anything else, we need to be following his voice and his guide in each and every one of our lives. So we're not going to give you any answers. We're going to let you guys do that. Go ahead and hit pause. But thank you, Ryan, for doing this. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Adios.